Hello, this video is for Nathaniel Kahn. I am absolutely mesmerized with your documentary film, My Architect. I recommend it to all of my friends to watch this amazing documentary film. It is very deep, the deepest of the deepest, one of the deepest films I have ever seen, and it touched me to tears. And the other day I was watching it at night and my tears were streaming over my face, and there were all these feelings coming up about my yearning to be with other artists and with architects and with thinkers and with sensitive people who are kind and loving and who want to make the world a better place. And I have no one in my vicinity. I have some friends on the internet, and I have no one in my vicinity to talk to about my emotions. And that's why I make these videos on YouTube, because even if no one watches it, it still has a therapeutic function for me, and I want to make use of this because I don't have anything else. I used to go to psychiatrists, and I did primal therapy, and I did all kinds of therapies and expensive therapies, the money I've spent on this, and not much came out of it. Primal therapy was good for 2 years, and the other 8 years it was rather difficult, and I was stepping on the spot and backtracking even, and it was very difficult. And there are so few people who really understand what I'm trying to say, you know. It is so difficult for me to bring this across, what I feel and what I see and how I perceive the world. And so when I see someone who is able to understand me but doesn't know me, will never get to see me, will never get to see this video, will never get to talk to me, the people who are able to understand me will probably never see me and never notice that I exist. And it's very painful for me. It's like walking through a world where it's like walking through a simulation or something. It's like me walking through Second Life without having an avatar, like where you can see the other avatars, but they can see your avatar. I fall under the radar in this world, you know. I go shopping, I fall under the radar or over the radar. That happened too sometimes. So, or I fall right or left, up or down, over that radar range, you know, out of the sphere of the normal, out of the sphere of that what is visible to other people. Yeah, just yesterday I was struggling with someone to get to see my point, on struggling with someone on Facebook about I wanted them to see their own double standard with their religion and all of this. And so I say, come and then at least, and they insist on chatting with me, you know. I said, I don't do chat. I make videos. Then come to my video and check it out. Then goes to my video and promptly says, boring. Yeah. So it's like, and that's what it is. If someone even clicks on my videos, they click it off in 2 seconds, because and they go yawn, clicked off, next video. So my existence does not reach anyone out there. And the feeling of that is indescribable. It feels like it, even if I go shopping, you know, I see a clerk treat the person before me good, and then it's my turn to pay, and the person goes hi, and then this like this facial expression of like, ooh, who is that? Like suspiciousness. Some people have a kind of sardonic smirk on their face, like it's the fundamentalists particularly. Yeah, they look at me with this sarcastic smirk, with a kind of like a sadistic type of smirk. I don't know if this makes any sense. So I don't know. I see it in men and women equally, and it's just wherever I go, there's this atmosphere of you are not wanted here, you know. So, and it was very interesting. Jiddu Krishnamurti, the most interesting conversations he has is the series from 1 to 7, 7 conversations at Brockwood Park, England, in 1974, I believe it was, when he was talking to Dr. David Bohm. He was a theoretical physicist, world famous also, and Dr. David Shainberg, a psychiatrist. And these conversations between these three people were so fascinating to me, so utterly fascinating. And in one of these conversations, he mentions, or I don't know if it was in this conversation with them, but it was in one of these conversations with Jiddu Krishnamurti, where Jiddu Krishnamurti explains what this collective, the collective consciousness of the ego means. And he goes into this very well in the last conversation, number 7, towards the end, where he describes that there is something that is deeper than sorrow, and there is something, there is some kind of, that when people die and they're still hanging on to their image that they have of themselves, which is the ego, then this goes over into the collective consciousness of the ego. And there's something called like an ego soup type of thing, like a ego energetic matrix that's out there, and it just adds to that. So when the person hasn't resolved this, has not created a dissolution of this ego, then the ego energy, the self-image, you know, like whether it is the image, I'm a great writer, you know, I'm this famous psychologist, and I want to be going into history. When this hasn't dissolved, this self-image that people hang on to, they hang on to it as if it is the last rope over an abyss. So if they don't let go of this image, of I am this great famous psychologist, I have written 13 books and whatever, if they don't dissolve this image and come to their senses that they are just an existence, they are just a living being like every other being, if they don't come to this dissolution, then they add, then their ego energy is still there after they die, and that this ego energy will go into the collective ego matrix that's out there. I don't know if this makes any sense to most people, but I thought that was extremely fascinating, and it is fascinating me to the point where it's hair-raising. And so in one of the conversations he describes that this ego energy, he says that when he goes into a forest sometimes, or an into a remote place, that sometimes there is some kind of foreboding energy in there that has the message, go away, we don't want you here, you're not welcomed. And I feel this. I have the ability, unfortunately, it is I've always known this as a child already, that this is not good, that this is painful to have. I've always been able to feel this energy when it was there, when I encountered it. This energy of foreboding, this energy of, the first time I encountered it was in an evangelical church in Germany. I was about a year old. I remember to this day. There was an aunt, and I was chatting and like a little baby does, chattering and pointing at things. And she did this in a real horrible way, and I started screaming because of that energy. And then everyone laughed, because the people there are a little bit more loosened up than the people here in the United States, even the Christians. But this one aunt definitely wasn't, and she was already old, and she was clinging to her image very strongly. That was all she had, the image of being this good Christian. And even a 1-year-old child could shake that foundation by chatting and going above her head with this spiritual freedom. I don't like the word spiritual, but with this mental freedom that was free above this religion and above this dogmatization and above her head. And that's why she did this, to silence me, and to that's why this energy, her ego energy, was so harsh, so extremely harsh. Sometimes people don't even have to say a word, and the ego energy comes across as extremely harsh. And it's amazing, and I've been thinking and thinking about this, because today all day long I was thinking about this, and because I am trying to get to the root of it, to what makes people violent. So of course there are scientists they're looking into it. They're looking into the brain. They can do brain scans, they can do fMRIs, and they can see the brain formations, and they can see the activity that's going on in it, and the blood flow that goes to the certain regions, and the amplitude of electricity that goes into it, and so on. And they can clearly see that the people who have compassion have the larger amygdala and the larger hippocampus and the larger, more built out orbital frontal cortex and so on. But then there are other people who say that it is possible, and there are people who have actually said they have observed it, even some scientists who have observed it, that there is a possibility that through a specific compassion meditation, people can actually have these formations can start to grow. This is this is this falls into epigenetics, and so all of this is not fixed in concrete. All of this is not. It's not that black and white as I as my own ego often wants to see it, or my own exhaustion rather, this as an activist, that where I want to say, enough is enough. I'm not going to get into the details of it now, but sometimes I feel like this, and I feel like, why put up with this? Why put up with this type of violence, right? But obviously, if we get into the philosophy of it and more into the into the flow of the cosmos of it, then then we see that things are not black and white. They are not either this or either that. So it is much more gray shades in between, and there is so much going on. There are so many interconnections and interactions that create something, that shapes something, that makes something move in a specific direction. So I see this very clearly. The Vipassana meditation by S.N. Goenka is extremely positive and important, and this is what I promote, of course. I don't hold the other cheek. I want to make that very clear for my own personal philosophy. I am not a Lutheran. I am not a Buddhist. I am not religious in any sense. All of those are just those are misunderstandings of things. It's any of these concepts are based on the ego and based on not being in the flow of things. So I think it is extremely important to always stay in the flow, like you do and your mother, and I feel so extremely related to that, and I feel like this is so extremely refreshing for me, and so it makes me feel so good to know that there are people out there who are that advanced, and who I would love to meet and talk to, but I will probably never get the chance to meet you, and I will never get the chance to meet the people who would be so fruitful and so nutritious mentally for me to talk to. I will never get to meet him. Maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe I wish this too much, and so that's why it doesn't happen. When we wish for something too much, it doesn't happen. But at least I have this tablet. I can make this video. I can kind of talk to myself here with this, and still address certain names and speak to you, even though you don't hear it. So who knows? Maybe there's more. Maybe there's telepathy. Maybe there's also the matrix of the movement forward, of course, that I am hoping to pour my love into, and my contribution. And maybe that will reach you in some roundabout way, or maybe it will reach the world, So that's why I'm giving what I have in me. I give in my artwork. It's an unfinished project, and I give in my blogs and in my videos, and in the commenting and in the conversations with people in writing and so on. So that's all I can say to, to my own work is my hands are tied and I can only work in a very limited range. And very, very, very few people get to see what I say, and even less people get to understand what I say, because I am somewhere in the clouds, as Friedrich Nietzsche always said, and it's very lonely up there. And the other people are down on earth. So how do I communicate? How can I ever learn to communicate like the way Judy Baca, I don't know if you heard about her name, she is an amazing woman, an artist who in LA, who gets other people to help her paint mural paintings on walls, on freeway walls and old buildings. And it's also something I have thought about before I ever heard about her. And immediately I was drawn to it, and I thought, what an amazing person. And what I really envy in Judy Baca is this ability to meet people where they are. And I don't have it. It's not there. It's not there in my brain. I don't have the ability to meet people where they are. I come from a background where we were living in an encapsulated sphere of everything beautiful, everything gorgeous, artists, writers, some of them famous, some of them locally famous, but I was so spoiled with this, It is, and I was thinking today, I was very lucky that I had that, I have to always try to see it from the positive view. I was lucky. The problem now is that I don't have any connection to anyone else. If I see other people, they already withdraw from me, like two chemicals that are repelling each other, in that way. I just need to appear somewhere and people withdraw, no? And they shy away, they're afraid of me, and I don't know why. Do I have to bleach my hair and let my hair grow like the pretty girls or something, or the Republican women? I can't do this. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna wax my eyebrows. I'm not gonna showcase my breasts. It's not gonna happen. And I'm not gonna wear a skirt ever. I will never ever wear a skirt. So and if I did this, then I would be misunderstood. Then it's already happening on Facebook, because I made a couple of photos. I'm very picky when I make photos. I get good light, then you don't see the wrinkles, and then might look prettier, because I want to have a prettier photo. And so the men that come and want to do chat and want to see photos of my breasts, they obviously completely misunderstand me and everything, and I'm just so head-shakingly petrified over this, over all of this. And then, see, this is what it is I want to make contact, I reach out, I will write back to someone because I care, and they'll send me roses, and I say, thank you so much, dear, for sending me the roses. It's promptly misunderstood as, hey, come on, baby, let me do you. It is so, there is not even a communication basis there. It doesn't even exist. It's either this or that. There, the crude people, for them I feel bad talking about this, but I need to talk about this. I don't know what to do, I want to reach out, but people don't understand. They don't understand me. And even this video is probably completely misunderstood by most people who watch it. They will probably, and there's already a voice in the back of my head, like same as David Foster Wallace. I have the exactly same things. It's already a voice in my head that's like super self-critical, and that already like not direct voice. It's not like being split, but it's some kind of like a knowing that this is what other people are going to think, and so voice in that sense, like I can already envision, let's put it that way, I already envision what other people, what this person, what that person is going to think when I say this, that, or that. So, and it's like, whatever I say, I will never really be free. It will never be really free in a way where I can communicate this over to other people. It will always be misunderstood as, oh, now she's bragging, or now she's trying to tell herself that she's hot, or now she's trying to think that she's younger than she is, or now she is trying to be grandstanding. Now she's trying, you see, it's like, it's always, even if I just say something out of what I want to say, and in that very flow of saying it, the other brain connections come in, and they go, oh no, you can't say this. I had to make 20 attempts to make this video. I'm hoping that this time I don't have to turn it off, because I have to be afraid that this might come across again as this or that or that or that. And sometimes it's like with people, whatever you say, if you say A, it's wrong. If you say B, it's wrong. And you can never make everyone happy. It's just not going to happen. And I just have to let it go. I cannot make everyone happy. I have such a diverse group of people on Facebook, as diverse as life. And there's whatever I post there, it will always, one post will always piss someone off. It's a guarantee. There is nothing I can do about it. It is gonna happen. I'm gonna piss someone off, and someone is gonna be offended because of their self-image. And it's always about this image. I have an image of myself. She or he is going to say something that's going to be painful for me, for my image. That's how people think. It's always about the self-image, and that's why the conversations by Jiddu Krishnamurti with other people, they are so incredibly a lifesaver for me. It's unbelievable. And your film, and also the film The Horse Boy by Rupert Isaacson, also, and just a handful of great films, movies, or documentaries that have been made that speak to me, and Your dad's architecture speaks to me directly. Your dad's photos, when he looks into the camera, he looks right through the camera lens, and he looks into infinity, and he looks at everyone who's sensitive. This love that's in his eye is directed at all of us sensitive people, and that's why he wanted to be there for all. Of course, he wanted to be there for everyone, and so do I. I want to be there for everyone at the same time on Facebook too, but I can't do it. I just can't. I will get misunderstood, and it's just a fact of life. I will encounter the ego of people, the ego energy matrix, the spaces and places where people left behind their ego energy, and that ego energy says, go away. One time when we first came to this area, we're traveling in a motorhome for 3 years to really check out where we wanted to settle and buy a house. So ended up with 2 houses eventually, but that had to do with the economic situation at that time, and the prices were extremely horrendous, and we had to settle with a small beach house like this one here. And then later on, when the prices fell, we saw our opportunity and got another house in the other area. And I can't disclose where it is, of course, it's the internet. But before we actually made our buying decisions, we encountered this old church. And there was this old church in the rural areas, in rural communities. You have a church on every street corner. In Germany, you have a bakery on every street corner, a gourmet bakery, that is. So for me, it's like a harsh wake-up call when I came to the United States at 26 to LA, and when I came to the rural area, that's when the real wake-up call happened, because LA is the melting pot. And so everywhere a church, and everywhere is this energy, this ego energy, this leave me alone, don't come near me, don't, it's this energy. And this energy only allows those who are engulfed, and who are emanating the exact same energy, the exact same match to that energy. So it attracts these people, and it adheres to them. It's like an adhesive, that creates some kind of mass of those people that flock together, that all have that same energy, that if they see artwork like this, they will take terrible offense. It's painful for them. And so this in turn, because I'm a human being, I'm a living being, I have an ego too. This in turn hurts my ego. And if I was like Judy Baca, the artist Judy Baca, I would be free from this. There is a self-image, I am not free from the self-image. My self-image is beauty is modern art and modern architecture. That's where I'm coming from. Then it's also the truth, but it also has created somewhat of a self-image. And then, so this self-image then cannot tolerate something tacky. It cannot possibly even handle being around something tacky. And so I think if I step back and see it from a wider perspective, I will have to admit this must have to do with the self-image. Probably also has to do with sensitivity, but I'm sure that there's a portion of self-image involved in this. And that's what makes it so incredibly difficult for me to reach out to other people who have, for example, people like Steven Spielberg, because my husband has seen his house on the inside and has told me what is in there and shown me in catalogs what approximately looks like what's inside of Steven Spielberg's house. So, and he's just one of out of gazillions of examples. So I'm not just, I'm using this example because it's not just poor people with bad taste. There are some poor people with great taste. So obviously, there are a lot of rich people with horrible taste. I see it, you can see it on YouTube. And with the taste where you can just see the egos. The ego look brazenly into the camera. The ego and that self-image of people who are coming from backgrounds where they see something that a supposedly rich person has, and then immediately make the conclusion that must be beautiful because that is what's in some rich person's house 300 years ago. And that's why also those old remake furniture and stuff is why that is being perpetuated. Why there is a stagnation happening with this, what we call tacky. That is what it is. It comes from a perpetuation of ego images and ego interpretations of something that the ego interprets as beautiful. Ego is completely cut off from beauty. That is why I feel so extremely uncomfortable around things that are ugly and tacky and that are stagnated. Something that smells like bragging and cheap bordel and anti-intellectual. So something that is stagnated, something that is just based on ego, that is just based on wanting something, wanting status, and so on. My grandfather had lots of that in him, yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Very, very, as my parents called it, talmy, or half silken, that's what they called it. You know. So my grandfather, who comes from parents who also had this, you know, like that, this wish for being better, and then having to buy something that they think that Louis XIV had in his castle or something, you know. So yeah, it's that kind of stuff. But yeah, but then the original furniture from Louis XIV, I wouldn't mind, you know, because this is original at least. See, when it's original, then it is friends with this painting. Yeah. So then anything original is friends, automatically friends, energetically with something that is original, and it doesn't matter how old the original item 1 is and how old original item 2 is, right? They are both original. One could be made in 2050 and one could be made in 1600. It really makes makes no difference. It speaks to each other through millennia. It calls out, as Friedrich Nietzsche said. His books are a remote cry to Dostoevsky when he reads his books. So I know what he's talking about. It's this desolation of someone who is sensitive and who is absolutely not understood, who is reads someone else and it resonates, and there is a communication established, even though it's not a reciprocal type of a live communication, but at least it is, I understand you, I'm reading you, I see video, I understand you, I know who you are. And it makes me feel better in that moment. But it also brings out in my life personally, it brings out even more loneliness. It brings out a feeling of, oh, these people exist. They existed, and still there are some that exist, like you and your mother. And some other amazing people like Frank Gehry and Richard Meyer that are still alive. Even my dad, but he won't talk to me. He doesn't talk to me. It is rare that he will, I can almost say, lower himself down, descend down to the ground to whisper something into my ear. So, I don't know what's better, to have an alive dad who is a great architect, who doesn't talk to you, or where your dad is no longer in physical form, but you have a much better communication with him. So I don't know. This is awful sad, and this is why all of these things that I needed to talk about, needed to talk to you or anyone who understands about this. What is family? What is family if they don't understand you? What is family if they don't see you? I don't know why my dad. What is arrogance? What is arrogance? I ask myself that often. Is it that they have a self-image of themselves, and that the other person, could be the daughter, could be a threat to that self-image in some way? Like the daughter is too much over the top with her craziness, or she is too much out of the social norm and too much not conform, not willing to go along with the prestige type of things. So where is that arrogance coming from? It's coming from some kind of self-image. It's coming from fear. It's coming from having to protect oneself. I'm trying to understand all of this. I'm trying to please, people, help me with this. Give me your thoughts on this. Let's talk. I feel alone. I feel so alone. I feel so despaired over this. It feels bleak. It feels there's this heated, it's like a gigantic balloon inside of me, like a heated balloon of, I need to vent this, I need to get this out. I need to communicate this over to other people so that they can hear it and understand. Hopefully not misinterpret it, but understand. If you understand it somewhat, let me know. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about what it means to you, what real family means to you. What family means to me is not just being related. The two people in my family I have the best rapport with are not related to me biologically. So I have a few friends who are not related to me. And my best friend is my dog, and he's much more remote genetically. So what is family? Family is when you have what I call a wider family. What I call a family support system is a friendship circle of people who you can fully count on. Okay, I'm saying goodbye now. Take care, bye-bye.